We often hear people say God is powerful, and they're absolutely right, but that's only part of the truth. God's power is not wild or aimless. It's not some uncontrolled force moving through the universe like a hurricane with no direction. No, His might is rooted in something far greater than sheer strength. It's driven by love. The same God who spoke the stars into existence, who hung the sun and moon in their places, is the same God who kneels down to listen to your prayers in the midnight hour. That kind of might should make you tremble in awe, but that kind of love should also make you fall to your knees in worship. He's not just a powerful God, He's a personal one. His power doesn't destroy, it redeems. It doesn't intimidate, it invites. He doesn't use His strength to crush you, He uses it to carry you. There's something deeply humbling about realizing that the one who created the galaxies cares about your tears, that the God who governs the winds and the waves also sees your quiet battles. When you're laying in bed overwhelmed, when you feel like your world is falling apart, when people have walked away and nothing makes sense, God is still mighty. But more than that, His might is moving in your favor. It's not distant. It's not removed. His power has a name, and that name is love. And love doesn't abandon. Love doesn't forget. Love doesn't fail. The enemy wants you to think that because things are hard, God must be distant. But I came to tell you, He's never been closer than He is right now. Some people see God's might as something to fear, as if He's waiting to strike the moment we fall. But that's a lie. God's power is not a threat. It's a promise. It's a promise that even when you don't understand the path, He's already made a way. It's a promise that even when you feel unworthy, His grace is sufficient. His strength is the kind that doesn't require yours. You don't have to perform to earn His help. You don't have to be perfect to receive His mercy. His strength meets you where you are. And that's the beauty of a mighty God. He steps down into our mess and brings miracles out of the madness. Let me ask you something. What do you do when life feels too heavy to carry? Where do you turn when your soul is tired, your mind is overwhelmed, and your strength is gone? That's where the might of God shows up. That's when His purposeful love takes over. When your hands are empty and your spirit is weary, He says, "Give it to me." He doesn't just give strength, He is strength. He doesn't just offer help, He becomes your helper. He doesn't just visit you, He dwells in you. That's not just power, that's intentional love wrapped in eternal glory. That's who He is. We serve a God whose strength is always aligned with His compassion. That means He knows when to fight for you, and He knows when to hold you. He knows when to calm the storm, and He knows when to calm you. We often want God to change our situation, but sometimes His might is seen most not in what He changes around us, but in what He changes within us. Sometimes the miracle isn't the mountain moving, it's you learning to climb it with grace. That's not weakness, that's divine strength disguised as perseverance. And only a mighty God can plant that kind of power in the hearts of fragile people like us. Look back at your life. Think of all the times you could have lost your mind, all the times the enemy tried to break you, all the nights you cried yourself to sleep, all the moments you felt like giving up, and yet you're still here. Why? Because the might of God wasn't just working around you, it was working in you. His love sustained you. His mercy covered you. His strength carried you through seasons you didn't think you'd survive. That's not coincidence. That's covenant. That's not random strength. That's purposeful love in motion. The world will try to define strength in terms of domination and control, but God defines it in terms of service and sacrifice. His might was most fully revealed not when He crushed nations, but when He carried a cross. The most powerful display of divine might wasn't thunder from the heavens. It was blood on a hill called Calvary. Jesus didn't just flex His power, He laid it down for us. And because of that, we are no longer victims. We are victorious, not because we're strong, but because we're connected to the one who is. That's love with muscle. That's mercy with fire. That's grace with unstoppable force. You see, the might of God is never wasted. It doesn't show up late. It doesn't arrive unsure. When God moves, He moves with precision. When He speaks with purpose. And when He acts out of infinite love. That means every time He defends you, blesses you, lifts you, heals you, or even delays something in your life, it's not random, it's strategic, it's orchestrated, and it's always rooted in love. So stop thinking God forgot you. Stop thinking your prayers are lost in the wind. Stop thinking He's abandoned you. The mighty hand of God is moving, even when you can't see it. It's not just strength, it's love in action. Let me be clear. God's might is not meant to scare you into submission. It's meant to pull you into transformation. He doesn't want to intimidate you. He wants to empower you. That's what makes His strength different. He doesn't dominate to crush. He lifts to restore. He doesn't overpower to control. He empowers to free. And when you surrender to that kind of God, you start to realize that your story is part of something eternal, something beautiful, something that cannot be broken by the world, because it was birthed by heaven. And the best part, that same mighty God lives in you. You don't walk alone. You don't fight alone. You don't cry alone. His Spirit is your strength. His word is your weapon. His promise is your anchor. His name is your refuge. That means no matter what comes against you, you are not defenseless. You are not forgotten. You are not powerless. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead lives inside of you. And that power is not there to just get you through the day. It's there to make you dangerous to the darkness. The enemy fears a believer who knows the might of their God, because when you understand that your God is not just powerful but personally invested in you, you stop living small. You stop playing it safe. You stop accepting defeat. You start walking with confidence. You start praying with authority. You start declaring with boldness, because you know that behind every step you take is the force of heaven. Behind every yes of obedience is the backing of the Almighty. Behind every quiet act of faith is the roaring approval of the King of Kings. So today, I urge you, don't shrink to fit the fear. Don't let the weight of your season make you forget the size of your Savior. God's might is not just a trait, it's a testimony. And your life is living proof of what happens when weakness meets divine strength. You may be tired, but He's not. You may be uncertain, but He's never confused. You may be discouraged, but He's still faithful. And His faithfulness is stronger than your fear. His purpose is louder than your doubt. His power is greater than your pain. You serve a mighty God, a God who knows you, loves you, fights for you, and refuses to give up on you. His might is not abstract. It's active. It's not distant. It's dwelling inside of you. So lift your head, strengthen your stance. Let hope rise again. You are not walking through this world alone. You are walking hand in hand with the Creator of the universe. And because of that, no matter what comes your way, you can boldly declare, "Greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world." That's not just scripture. That's truth. That's power. That's love. That's our mighty God. When life feels like it's unraveling, when nothing makes sense, and the ground beneath your feet is shaking, there is still one truth that never changes. God is still on the throne. You may feel like everything is spinning out of control. You may be asking questions with no answers, facing battles with no strength left, and walking through seasons that seem to have no end. But no matter what you feel, no matter what you face, your feelings don't dethrone God. Your struggle doesn't cancel His sovereignty. He remains steady when your world is shaking. He remains faithful when your hope is fading. He remains strong when you feel weak. God is not moved by chaos. He reigns in it. He is not panicked by what panics you. He commands it. Heaven has never declared a state of emergency. The throne is still occupied, and the king is still ruling. When the storm rages and your prayers seem to go unanswered, remember this: God doesn't step off the throne because life gets hard for you. In fact, it's in those very moments that his throne matters the most. His throne represents his unshakable authority. His throne is the declaration that nothing, absolutely nothing, takes him by surprise. You may be caught off guard, but he never is. That loss, that heartbreak, that closed door, that unexpected diagnosis, he saw it before it ever reached you, and he already made a way through it. His throne is a seat of victory, not reaction. He rules from a place of power, not panic. And if he's still seated, then you can stand. Don't be fooled by the noise around you. The enemy wants to use chaos to distract you from who God is. The devil doesn't need to destroy you to defeat you. He just needs to make you forget that God is still in control. But I came to remind you, no matter the chaos, no matter the confusion, God is not pacing the halls of heaven, wondering what to do next. He is not scrambling for solutions. He is not looking for backup plans. He is not reacting. He is reigning. And when you trust in a reigning God, you live from a different posture. You stop operating from fear, and you start walking in faith. You stop asking, what if? And you start declaring, even if the economy crashes, God is still provider. Even if people walk away, God is still present. Even if doors close, God still opens better ones. Even if you're broken, He is still healer. Even if you're lost, He is still the way. That's what it means to serve a God who is seated on the throne. His position hasn't changed just because your circumstances have. Life may have shifted, but heaven hasn't. That should give you confidence. That should give you peace. That should give you boldness to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. Some of you are in a season right now where it feels like nothing is working. Prayers feel dry. People are distant. Purpose feels unclear. And the enemy is whispering in your ear that God has walked away. But that's a lie. God doesn't leave when it gets dark. In fact, it's in the darkness where He does some of His deepest work. When you can't see His hand, you can still trust His heart. When you can't trace His movement, you can still anchor in His character. Because His character is constant. He is good when life is not. He is faithful when people are not. He is steady when you are not. That's the God who sits on the throne. Think about Job. He lost everything. His wealth, his children, his health, even the support of his friends. But even in his despair, he said, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Why? Because Job understood something we often forget. God's throne was still intact. Job's pain didn't mean God had abandoned him. It meant God was doing something deeper than Job could see. And the same is true for you. Just because life doesn't look like what you prayed for, doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes. Your tears are not wasted. Your prayers are not ignored. Your pain is not overlooked. The one who rules the universe also counts every hair on your head. That's power and intimacy wrapped together. And that's what makes Him mighty. The throne of God is not a symbol of distance. It's a symbol of dominion. It's where authority lives. It's where judgment is passed and justice flows. That's why you can rest when the world gets loud, because your defender is also your judge. The same throne that rules the nations also rules over your heart. So when people plot against you, when the odds are stacked, when injustice rises up, remember who sits above it all. He is not just mighty in battle. He is righteous in judgment, and vengeance belongs to Him, not you. So you can let go of the need to control outcomes, because your God is already in control. Some of you have been carrying stress that doesn't belong to you. You've been trying to fix things that only God can handle. You've been losing sleep over battles that were never yours to fight. But when you remember who's on the throne, you can surrender control and recover your peace. Peace doesn't come from having all the answers.
It comes from trusting the one who does. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of God in the middle of them. So don't pray for an easier life. Pray for a deeper trust, because the same throne that created the cosmos is the same throne that hears your whisper. I don't know what storm you're walking through. I don't know what battles you're fighting in silence. But I do know this. God has not stepped off the throne. And as long as he reigns, you are not defeated. As long as he rules, your story isn't over. As long as he is sovereign, nothing can touch you that hasn't been filtered through his hands. That doesn't mean you won't face pain, but it does mean your pain has purpose. That doesn't mean there won't be tears, but it does mean those tears are leading to transformation. That's the kind of power you can stand on. That's the kind of God you can trust. Lift your eyes above the storm. Stop staring at the waves. Stop magnifying your fear. Start magnifying your God. The same God who calmed the sea is the same God who lives inside of you. And he's not shaken by what shakes you. He's not threatened by what threatens you. He's not confused by what confuses you. He's still on the throne, still in control, still worthy of your praise. So don't let the noise of the world drown out the voice of the King. Don't let the chaos around you silence the truth within you. You are loved by a God who rules with justice and leads with mercy. So today stand firm, stand bold, stand strong, not because you're fearless, but because your God is flawless, not because you're perfect, but because he is present, not because life is predictable, but because your God is unshakable. The throne is not empty, heaven is not silent, the King is not passive, and your future is not fragile. You serve a mighty God. You serve a reigning King, and no matter what comes against you, you can rest in this truth. When life feels out of control, God is still on the throne, and as long as he reigns, so will you. There are moments in life when you come to the end of yourself, when your strength runs out, when the door's all shut, when the doctors say there's nothing else they can do, when the debt is too high, the pain is too deep, the betrayal is too fresh, and it feels like the end. But that's where our God does his greatest work. That's where the impossible becomes his platform. That's where the natural ends and the supernatural begins. We serve a mighty God who specializes in the impossible. He's not intimidated by your situation. He's not limited by what limits you. What man calls impossible, God calls opportunity. Miracles still happen, and our God still shows up. You see, we live in a world that teaches us to calculate everything, to plan, to prepare, to measure odds, to make sense of it all. But faith doesn't operate by human calculations. Faith lives in the realm where logic ends. Faith is built for the impossible, because if you could do it on your own, if it all made sense, if it was all in your control, then it wouldn't require God. But God allows impossible situations so he can display his power in undeniable ways. He lets the Red Sea stay in front of you long enough so that when it parts, no one gets the glory but him. He waits until the grave stinks, until the situation looks hopeless, so that when the stone rolls away, everyone knows it was his hand. Throughout Scripture, miracle after miracle, we see one recurring theme. What is impossible for men is possible with God. Abraham and Sarah were too old, but God gave them Isaac. Moses had a speech problem, but God made him a leader. The walls of Jericho were too thick, but they fell with a shout. David was too small, but Goliath still dropped. The widow had only a jar of oil, but it never ran out. Daniel faced lions, but they couldn't touch him. The 3 Hebrew boys walked through fire, but they didn't even smell like smoke. Jesus fed thousands with 2 fish and 5 loaves, walked on water, opened blind eyes, raised the dead, and yet somehow we doubt that he can handle our situation today. Our God is not just mighty in stories. He's mighty in real life, and he hasn't changed. The same God who parted the sea then can make a way now. The same God who healed lepers then can restore your body now. The same God who delivered them can break chains now. He is not just the God of the Bible. He is the God of today, and he is still working miracles. But sometimes he allows the situation to become impossible on purpose, because that's when faith is revealed. That's when our dependence is purified. That's when the clutch is clear, and all that's left is trust. The miracle isn't just about what you receive. It's about who you become while waiting for it. God will stretch your faith before he displays his power, because he's not just working for you, he's working in you. Some of you are in an impossible situation right now. The diagnosis is terminal. The marriage is falling apart. The anxiety is relentless. The addiction won't break. The door won't open. And the voice of fear keeps whispering, "It's over." But I need you to hear this. The enemy always speaks the loudest when a miracle is near. He tries to distract you with fear, so you'll stop expecting God to move. But don't give up in the waiting room of your miracle. Don't stop praying. Don't stop believing. Don't stop standing, because the God you serve is not finished. If he woke you up this morning, he's not done with you. If your heart is still beating, he still has a plan. And he never starts something he doesn't intend to finish. Sometimes God waits until the 11th hour. Sometimes he allows the furnace to heat up 7 times hotter. Sometimes he lets the rain fall for 40 days. But even in the waiting, he's working. Even in the silence, he's speaking. Even in the dark, he's developing you. What you call delay, God calls preparation. What you call silence, God calls setup. And what you call dead, God calls not done. Miracles often come wrapped in moments of absolute surrender. When you stop trying to figure it. When you lay down your timeline. When you drop your pride. When you say, "God, I can't, but I know you can." That's when heaven moves. And let me say this. Miracles don't always look the way you expect. Sometimes God heals you instantly. And sometimes he gives you the strength to walk through the storm. Sometimes the door opens wide. And sometimes he gives you the grace to outgrow the room you're in. Sometimes the answer is yes. And sometimes the miracle is the peace that comes with a no. But don't ever think he's not moving just because you can't see it. God does his best work in hidden places. Seeds break through under the soil. Babies grow in the womb. Diamonds form under pressure. Just because it's not public doesn't mean it's not powerful. He is shaping your future in places you can't. And when the time is right, he will make. There are people watching your life, waiting to see if God will show up. Your miracle is not just for you. It's for the people connected to your story. When God raises you up, others are reminded of what he can do. When he restores your joy, heals your body, or breaks the cycle in your family, he's writing a testimony that can't be denied. That's why the battle has been so intense, because the impact of your breakthrough will be bigger than you can imagine. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat. He comes hardest against those who carry the greatest promise. But greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to shrink back. You serve a God who does the impossible. So shift your focus. Stop rehearsing the size of your problem and start declaring the size of your God. Stop magnifying the mountain and start magnifying the miracle worker. When you walk with the one who raised the dead, you don't have to live in fear of defeat. When your Father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, you don't have to stress about resources. When the Creator of time is on your side, delay is not denial. It's divine timing. You serve the God who speaks to storms, and they obey, who tells bones to live, and they rise, who touches graves, and they become gardens. That's not folklore. That's not ancient history. That's real power, and it's still active today. Let your faith rise again. Don't let disappointment harden your heart. Don't let delay convince you God doesn't care. Don't let unanswered prayers steal your expectation. Sometimes the miracle is preceded by silence, so your heart can be stilled. Sometimes God closes one door, so you can see the one He really wants to open. But one thing is always true. He's too faithful to fail. He's too wise to make a mistake. And He's too powerful to be limited by anything in your life. So stretch your faith. Dare to believe again. Speak life over your situation. Pray bold prayers. Stand in the face of the impossible. And say, my God can still do it. Because He can. And He will. Maybe not in your way, but always in the best way. Maybe not on your schedule, but always on time. You serve a mighty God, a miracle-working God, and what man says is impossible, God says it's just the beginning. So don't give up, don't give in, don't stop expecting. You may be one moment away from the breakthrough you've been praying for, one prayer away from a shift in your health, your family, your purpose, and even if you don't see it yet, trust this miracle still happen. God is still moving.
And your story isn't over.
Not when the author of the impossible is still writing.